Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. So for today's webinar, we'll be covering the topic of supposition, or also known as assumption method. Okay, so this is something that is commonly seen in upper primary work. It starts maybe around P3, and then it starts to be more heavily introduced in P4, P5, and even P6, okay? So if you're not sure what is um, supposition or assumption method, or maybe you have heard of it, but you don't fully understand what the steps mean, or like maybe you just memorize. You don't really know what you're doing. Okay, so the objective of today's session is to help you be better, to understand the method better, so that you know how to apply it. Okay, so that when questions change some variables, you understand how to apply this concept. Okay, so a very common alternative method that students tend to use will be guess and check, which I'll be explaining later in a bit why we don't prefer that method and how supposition or assumption method actually gives a more systematic way to solve these problems. Okay, so before I start off, so let me just do a brief introduction of myself. So I'm Jeanette. I'm a Resource Development Manager here at Matrix Math HQ, which is at Marine Parade. So what I do is I help to develop our current resources so that they remain value-adding and relevant, especially with all the changes in syllabus and assessments. So as you all might may or may not know, P5 is actually the first batch of students taking on the new syllabus. Okay, so with all these changes, we will have to update and revamp our materials and programs. And we also come up with new resources to enhance our programs through various platforms such as this webinar that we're conducting. So for myself, I've been teaching in Matrix Math for 10 years, largely focused on upper primary. So with my experience, I hope that I can help to provide more insights and understanding for this topic today that we're going through. Okay, so at the end of the webinar, right, if you do find that this actually helped, like you find that this is beneficial, we would request that you fill up a feedback form at the end to let us know how we can improve so that we provide more webinars for you going forward. Okay, so now let's start off with looking at this guess and check method. So guess and check method is a very in okay, it's not that it's wrong, but the problem with guess and check is that it kind of takes a few tries, right, to get to the correct answer. Okay, so what you'll see is something like that. So a question, this is not in your handout. I'm just introducing to you like what is the alternative method that you may have been practicing. So a question like that can be, John has a total of 40 ducks and goats on his farm. There are a total of 96 legs. How many goats does John have? Okay, so if you're using guess and check method, you need to present it in a table form and then show what are the different numbers that you have. Like example, how many ducks do you want to like try first? And then how many legs is that? How many goats? And then how many legs? And then you have to check if that actually fulfills the requirement as given in the question. Okay, so when you do this, you may have to do many lines in order to get the correct answer. So the problem with this method is that it is very inefficient. So that is why we will be doing the supposition or the assumption method. It's the same thing, supposition, assumption method. Okay, that will be a more efficient method to get the answer. So once you understand that, right, then it's actually pretty easy. When the question comes out, you recognize it, you can apply this method. Okay, so I will go through this question at any point in time. If you have any questions, if you need me to repeat, if you want me to clarify anything, you can just let me know. Okay, you can unmute yourself and then you ask the question, or you can also put in the chat. Okay, let's look at question 1. Yanni has a total of 20 dogs and chickens on her farm. There are 40 licks in all. There are 48 licks in all. How many dogs are there on her farm? Right. So this is a basic supposition, the most basic application of all the supposition type questions. So
how can it be 58? There are 20 dogs and chicken.
okay, so from here, we start off with, okay, if the question is asking for how many dogs, right? We always want to start with the opposite animal in this case, which is chickens. Okay, this would help us get to the answer more quickly now. Okay, if you start off with suppose all are dogs, you can also get to the answer, no problem. But I'm just saying, like, if they're asking for dogs, the more efficient way would be to start off with the opposite. Okay, this is for the basic supposition. Okay, if I say all of them are chickens, right? How many animals are there? There are 20 dogs and chickens, right? So if I suppose all of them are chickens, I'm saying that there will be 20 chickens. Okay, so here, chicken, 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 chicken. Okay, many chickens, 20 of them. So firstly, I need to find how many legs are there. So first, you must understand one chicken, how many legs? One chicken, 2 legs. One dog, 4 legs, right? Okay, there's at least something that you need to know. Okay, so if you have 20 chickens, the total number of legs that's there would be 20 times 2. Okay, 20 times 2, which is 40 legs. From here, the question actually said that there's 48 legs. So what we have here is actually not enough, right? The number of legs is not enough. So how many more do we need? So this next step, I'll call it the extra, okay? The extra that we need. So I'll take 48 minus away the number of legs that I currently have. And that will be 8 legs. So I need another 8 more legs. As I'm going through, you can write down the steps, okay? You can write down. But try to understand. Don't memorize the steps, but try to understand the reasoning behind each step. So I say again, so there are 20 chickens. I start off with the opposite. I start off with chickens. Then all of them are chickens. So you have 20 chickens. 20 chickens will give you a total of 40 legs. But according to the question, they said that there's a total of 48 legs. So I don't have enough. I need 8 more legs. So why is it that I need 8 more legs? What does it indicate? It means that not all of the animals are chickens. Okay, there must be some dogs, right? So the question is, how many of the chickens are not supposed to be chickens, but they're supposed to be dogs? Okay, let's look at one exchange. Okay, if I need 8 more legs, it means that I need to swap. Okay, so every exchange, in one exchange, I mean taking one chicken away, replacing it with one dog. So what happens is, if I take away one chicken, I add in a dog, I will get more legs, right? Okay, I have a question. So we take the number of animals, not legs. You mean starting off with 20, is it? Oh, okay, okay, okay. Good. Okay, I just suddenly thought of something. Okay, some students, right, instead of taking 20 times 2, right, they take 48 times 2. Okay, what is wrong? If I say 20 times 2, I'm saying that every animal has 2 legs, right? But if I say 48 times 2, that's like saying every leg has 2 legs. And then becomes centipede. Okay, no, don't take 48 times 2 because 48 is a legs. You cannot take legs and then times 2, okay? It's each animal has 2 legs. So it's the number of animals first, which is 20, and 20 times 2. Does it answer your question, Ariel? Like, I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking. Okay, great. Okay, so every one exchange, from one chicken to one dog, you get extra legs, right? You see the number of legs increase. Increase by how many? So you take away 2, you put in 4, you actually get 2 more legs. Okay, so how you know it's 2? It's because that's the difference between 4 and 2, right? So one exchange, you take 4 minus 2. Okay, 4 minus 2, and you get 2 legs. So in every one exchange, you actually get 2 more legs. And how many times must I do this exchange? Well, it depends on how many legs you need, right? If every change will give me 2 legs, and I need an extra of 8 legs. So I will have to do this 4 times. How do I get 4? So 8 divided by 2. Okay, that is the number of exchanges. But then the question is, how many dogs are there on a farm, right? So what does this 4 tell you about the exchange? 4 is the number of exchanges from which animal to which animal? From the chicken to the dog, right? So if you do this 4 times, it means that there are 4 dogs. Okay, and this is what the question is asking for, dogs. So answer 4 dogs. Okay, at this point, any questions? I hope you all got it. If there's anything you need me to repeat or anything to clarify, please let me know. Okay, anyone not done writing yet? Can just type in the chat. Okay, good question. If we start with all dogs, what happened? Now, basically everything is flipped if you start with all dogs. Not wrong, not wrong. Okay, if you suppose all of them are dogs, then your total legs will be 20 times 4 instead. Okay, so instead of chickens here, it will become dog. And then because everything is dog, right, you have too many legs. Too many legs. So 20 times 4, 80. Then your next step will be 80 minus 48. Then you have too many legs. It means that this time you are, okay, maybe I write it down. If you start off with dogs, your first step, total number of legs. You don't have to write this down, I'm just explaining. So 20 times 4 is 80. Okay, then the total number of legs is 80, but then actually it's 48, right? So the extra would be 80 minus 48, which is 32. And then we do the same step, one exchange. Because when we change from one dog to one chicken, you actually lose 2 legs. So I need to remove 32 legs. So I take 32, divide by every exchange, which is 16. Okay, 16 would be the number of exchanges from the dog to a chicken. So 16 is actually the number of chickens. Then you need to do one more step, which is to take 20 animals in total minus 16. Okay, so not wrong, but you just have to do one more step. Okay, if you start with chicken, you end off with dog. If you start with dog, you end off with chicken. Yes, it's correct, but just more steps. Awesome. Okay. All done. Let's go on to the next question. Okay, so you heard how I explained this question, right? So for the next one, I have a question to ask you all. So in a car park, there are 35 cars and motorbikes. If there are 90 wheels, how many cars are there? Okay, so can you see a question, a poll, right? Now the question is, which one should we start with? Okay, I'll just answer the poll. See if you caught what I explained earlier. So which one should we start off with? Yeah, I know some of you are probably, you have attended the class, right? And you know this, but I mean, it's a good recap of what you've learned. Okay, let me end the poll. Very good. All of you have chosen the correct answer, which is motorbike. Okay, not that car's wrong, lah, but this would be more efficient, right? You start off with the opposite. Okay, great. So, motorbikes. Suppose all of them are motorbikes. You have 35 cars and motorbikes. Not 35 cars, but like 35 vehicles in all. So if you start with motorbikes, each motorbike 2 wheels. So if you have 35 of them, 35 of them, so the number of wheels, the first thing is to find the number of wheels. So 35 times 2. I have a total of 70 wheels. Okay, 70 wheels. So again, can I take 90 times 2? Cannot take 90 times 2. Okay, 90 is the wheels. We cannot say like one wheel has 2 wheels, right? Doesn't make sense. Okay, one vehicle has 2 wheels. So 35 times 2. I have 70 wheels if I start off with all motorbikes. But there's a problem, right? The question said that there's 90 wheels, not 70. So this time I need an extra of how many more wheels? So the extra that I need would be 90 minus 70. Okay, 90 minus 70, I need extra 20 more wheels. So what happens if you need 20 more wheels? What does it mean? It means that not all of them are motorbikes, right? There must be some cars in this group of vehicles. So what we're going to do, we're going to exchange. Okay, whenever you need extra or you need to remove extra, we exchange. So we focus on one exchange first. In one exchange, what happens? Oh, okay, question. But some motorcycles have 3 wheels. Okay, just talking about the normal one, okay? So maybe your question should have specified, right? Motorbikes with 2 wheels. Okay, 2 wheels. The one we're talking about is 2 wheels. So every exchange, we are going to exchange one motorbike for a car. Okay, for one motorbike, from one motorbike to a car, I actually get how many more wheels? I get 2 more wheels, right? I take away 2, I replace it with 4. So how to get 2? We get 4 minus 2 is the difference between one car and one motorbike. Okay, 4 minus 2 is 2. So this is only one exchange. So every exchange, I get an extra 2 wheels. But I need 20 more wheels. How many times must I do this exchange? So to find the number of exchanges, I will take the extra that I need, which is 20, divide it by what I'm going to get for every exchange. So 20 divided by 2, that means that there are 10 exchanges. So 10, is it the number of motorbikes or is it the number of cars? Since I'm doing a change from motorbike to car, right, I do this 10 times. So I end up with 10 cars. Okay, so answer 10 cars. Okay, this is the basic one, the basic application of supposition. But I'm going to go through 2 more different variants of the supposition question. And yeah, okay, if you're not done, continue. And it's going to get harder, okay? So you must understand this basic supposition, the concept of this one first. If you have any questions, please let me know. Like, why must we do this, all that steps? Clarify, okay, before I move on to the next one. Also, please make sure you label your steps. And then this first line, some students feel like, okay, it's not important, don't write. This one will actually tell you which one you start off with so that you are clear what you end off with. Okay, so also write the first line. Suppose all are what? Okay, all done? Anyone not done yet? Just let me know. Area done? Okay, awesome. Next question, this time it's supposition involving penalty. Okay, let me explain a bit what's a penalty. For question 3, in a test, there were a total of 40 questions. So for every question answered correctly, a student was awarded 4 points. Okay, so if you get correct, you get 4 points. For each question answered wrongly, 1 point was deducted. If Amber scored 130 points, how many questions did she answer wrongly? Right, okay, so how do we identify that this is actually a supposition involving penalty? You know what's penalty? Some of you may say like soccer, right? Penalty kick, right? So penalty is like when you are kind of penalized or like punished in a way for it. So here, if you answer it wrongly, not only do you not get the mark, but you get marks deducted. Okay, you get marks taken away. You lose marks. So that this is actually the indication to show us that this is actually with penalty. Okay, so earlier on I said if the question involving if it's a supposition question, if they ask for like the earlier question, they ask for cars, you start with motorbikes, right? This one slightly different application. You don't do the opposite. I mean, you don't always do the opposite. If they ask for wrong or correct, right? The number of questions she answered wrongly or correctly, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they ask. You always start off with the one that gives you the points. So in this case, you start off with all correct. Okay, listen carefully. I may or may not ask you about this later. Always start with the one that gives you the points, gives you the marks, gives you the money, gives you whatever it is in this question. So in this question, start off with all correct. Okay? Start off with all correct. Suppose all are correct. You don't start off with all wrong because if you're going to say that all the questions are wrong, right? 40 questions wrong means 40 times of deduction of one, you get like negative. Okay, you start off with negative, and we don't want that. You want to start off with positive, like positive number of marks, okay? Because she did score more than 0, she didn't score negative points. Okay, so if you suppose all of them are correct, how many points would it be? 40 questions. Every question that is correct is worth 4. So the first step to find the total points would be 40 times 4. Okay, 40 times 4. I get 160 points. But according to the question, the total is not 160. The total is 130. So we have too many points, right? Too many points we need to remove. How many to remove? So from 130 to get to 130, 160 to get to 130, we minus off, we find what is the extra. Okay, so I need to remove 30 points. What happens if you need to remove? If you need to remove means you need to exchange, right? Not all of them are correct. There must be some wrong in this group of questions. So this part, listen carefully. This part is slightly different. If you take away one question that is correct, you are actually taking away 4 points. Okay? You lose 4 points. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying that you're just taking the correct one. Okay? You take out the correct one, which is worth 4 points, right? So you are removing 4 points. Now, when I exchange it for a wrong, for every question answered wrongly, you don't gain anything. In fact, you lose 1 point. Okay? So what happens in one exchange? What do you all think? Should I take 4 minus 1 or 4 plus 1? How many points do we lose? Yeah, okay. Those who have responded 4 plus 1, right? Because you lose, Giselle, yes. Kaden, yes. So we lose 4 and 1, so we lose a total of 5. You should add them up. So can you see this is actually different from the normal kind of supposition, the basic kind of supposition. This is the step that is different. Okay? So, and this step may look simple, but this is the step that many students may not understand. Why do we add? Okay, so I hope you understand why we add here. Because you take away 1 correct, you lose 4. You put in a wrong, you actually lose again. So total you lose 5 points. Now, how many times must I do this exchange? Well, it depends on how many points I'm trying to remove. I'm trying to remove this extra 30 points. So if every time I do an exchange, I lose 5, then that will be 30 divided by 5, which is 6 times. Okay, 6 times. 6 times, what am I exchanging? I'm exchanging from 1 correct to 1 wrong. So effectively, every exchange, I'm putting in 1 wrong. I do this 6 times, it means that there are 6 wrong. Okay, then go back to the question. Are they asking for correct or wrong? So this one, they say how many questions did she answer wrongly? Then I know my answer is 6. So if I start off with correct, I'll end up with the opposite, which is wrong. What if the question asks, how many questions did she answer correctly? How should we do it? Anyone? If the question asks, how many questions did she answer correctly? I've done all these steps, then how do I get the answer? Giselle, yes. So I will have to take the total number of questions, which is 40, right? Minus away 6 wrong questions to get the number of correct questions. Okay? If they ask for correct. Okay. Write it down if you haven't finished writing. Ariel, that is the next question that I'm going to ask. Like the question 4 lah. You predicted the question. Okay. Anyway, anyone not done yet? Before I move on. Okay, all done. Okay, question 4. A company charges $5 for each parcel delivered on time. So this one is about whether it's on time or late. So if it's delivered late, the company will pay the customer $3. So they don't get money, in fact, they have to pay them. The company collected $220 for the delivery of 100 parcels. How many parcels were delivered on time? So Ariel, this is like your question. What if it's like they ask for the positive, right? So this one is asking how many delivered on time. All right. Now, so I'm going to do the same thing. Now what do you all think? Should we suppose all are on time or late? Now I see there are two different answers. Some of you say on time, some of you say late. Okay, okay. If you're not sure, never mind. Just click something. I'll explain. All right. Let's see. Most of you said on time. See, okay. 5 of you said late. 13 of you said on time. So which one is it? So earlier on, I explained for the basic one, if they ask for A, you start off with B. If they ask for B, you start off with A, the opposite, right? But for penalty question, it doesn't matter what they ask for. You always start off with the one that is, in this case, the one that gives you the money, okay? Because you need them to be positive. Yes, that's right. So, suppose all are on time. Okay, so for penalty question, so you need to firstly identify that this is a supposition involving penalty. This one is because it is late, you have to pay. So that's like a penalty, right? In a way, they're like punished for it. So start off with the positive one. Suppose all of them are on time. Your first step, okay, the tick is on time. Okay, first step is 100 parcels, all on time. So if it's on time, they can charge $5. So 5 times 100, 100 times $5, so which is $500. Okay, $500, but the company only collected $220. So I need to remove too much. Here, this one, too much. Okay, I need to remove how much? The extra that I need to remove will be the difference between 500 and 220. So 500 minus 220, this will give us $280. So same thing, if you want to remove, right, what must you do? You have to exchange. Exchange, not all of them are on time. Some have to be delivered late. So every exchange, I take away one on time first. Okay, when I take away one on time, right, every on time is worth $5. So when I take it away, I'm actually losing $5. Okay, I lose $5, I take this away. Now I replace it with a late. And every late, you don't gain anything. In fact, you lose also. You lose $3. So for every exchange, you lose a total of $8. Okay, so this will be a plus. 5 plus 3, $8. Then from here, next thing you need to do, how many times must you do this? Okay, so the extra I want to remove is $280. Every exchange, I lose $8. So the number of times is 280 divided by 8, which is 35. Is 35 late or on time? So we are doing this 35 times, right? 35 times means I'm putting in 35 late. Yeah, late. Is this the answer? Is 35 the answer? No. Okay, because they're asking for on time. So always go back to the question. They're asking for on time. So yes, you need to minus. Minus from what? Minus from the total number of parcels, which is 100. So 100 minus 35. Answer, 65 parcels. Okay, I have a question here. Is every penalty question like a plus for the one exchange, is it? Yes, but the important thing is to understand why is it a plus, okay? Because you lose and you lose, right? So you lose even more, right? That's why it's a plus. So try not to just memorize, but like if you memorize, make it with understanding. Okay. Question 5 would actually be the hardest type of supposition question. At P4, I don't think it's very prevalent. It's not very common for P4 lah, okay? But for P5, more for P5. So if you are P4, maybe you want to just listen to this, see if you can understand it. So I move on, next question. Very difficult, okay. I explain, maybe after I explain, you may find it not so difficult, okay? So this is supposition with difference. Question 5. A theatre sells tickets priced at $5 each to a child, $12 each to an adult. On a particular day, the theatre sold a total of 50 tickets. The sales from adult tickets is $430 more than the sales from children's tickets. How many children tickets were sold? How is this different from the normal supposition? Like, why is this different from the basic one? This is definitely not penalty. This one, they're selling tickets, right? Everyone pay. Not like you don't, they have to penalize you for it. No. This is you either pay 5 or pay 12. Okay? So how is this different from the first one, the concept one? How is it different from concept one? Why is it that in concept one you have that in concept 3 you don't? You are given the total number of tickets. I don't know how many 5, how many 12. Okay, that's the same. But in concept 1, they give you the total amount that is collected, right? They would have given you the total amount that is collected or the total number of legs. But in this question, they give you the difference. Okay, they give you the difference instead. So when you have difference, it's a little bit different. Okay, so start off with what? Again, it doesn't matter what the question is asking for. You start off with, in this case, you start off with the one that has more, like in terms of the total amount of money collected. Okay, so I don't mean this $5 and $12. I'm talking about this $430. This $430 is which one more than which one? So adults more than children, right? So start off with adults more, which means that you assume all are adults tickets first. Okay, so this sentence is very important. They tell you which one is more than which one. You start with the one that has more. So you start off with assuming all are adult tickets. So if you assume all are adult tickets, how much is that? 50 times 12. Okay, so 50 times 12 is 600. Let me explain why is it called total difference, not total amount. Because this 430 is not the total, right? It's the difference, right? So actually what I'm focused on is the difference between the amount collected from the adults and the children. So in this case, the difference is actually $600. The total, yes, is 600, but no, my focus is on the difference. Okay, the difference. So when I say all are adults, 0 children tickets, right? I'm comparing a total of $600 versus $0. The difference is 600. Difference, difference. That's the important thing. Question said that the difference is actually $430 only. So what is the extra that I need to remove? What is the extra difference that I need to remove? So my difference is 600 now. I only want 430. The difference that I will be removing would be 600 minus 430. Okay. So you see, when you compare, right, this difference is like a lot. But I don't need this difference to be so much. So this difference is supposed to like go down. So when I want to remove the difference, what I do is I need to exchange. So again, I'm going to do exchange. Okay, one exchange, what happens? Look at the diagram. If I take away one adult ticket, this would go down by $12. Because I'm exchanging, I need to put in one child ticket, and that is worth $5. Try to understand this diagram. That will lead me to my next part of the explanation, which is my one exchange. Can you see that if I were to do this one exchange, right, this would go down, this would go up. This is the new difference. Okay, this over here is the new difference. If you compare the original difference and the new difference, how much did the difference drop by? Confused, huh? Okay. Wait, this 600, you understand? Okay, let me just go back a bit. So $600, basically, if you're saying all of them are adults, right? So $600. Here, this one's $0. The difference is 600. But the question says the difference is $430. So I need to remove this one. Understand? I basically need to make the difference shorter, right? Shorter, lesser. So how to make it shorter? It means I need to exchange. So every exchange, this is what happens. Adult goes down by one adult, which is $12. Money, we're talking about the money. One adult. So you take away, this one go down by 12. Then you exchange for one child, right? The child means that the child go up by $5. Like that. Okay? The diagram, like that, understand? Now you see, if this one goes down, okay, maybe this part here will be gone, right? Then this part here go up. So when you compare this here and this here, the difference is this much. So from here to here, the difference at first to the difference in the end became smaller, right? Became smaller by how much? So that's my question. It became smaller by how much? Can you all key in the chat? What do you think? It became smaller by how much? The difference? This shrank by how much? Yes. Cheryl, yes. Michelle, no, not really. So so that's the thing. Some of you will say 17, some of you will say 7, right? So it actually became smaller by 17, not 7. You see here, when it goes down, the difference becomes smaller. When this one goes up, right, it also becomes smaller. Okay? I hope you all understand why is it 17, not 7. So one exchange, what should we do? 12 plus 5 or 12 minus 5? 12 plus 5, yeah. So this is the important thing that you need to understand. You need to understand when one goes down, one goes up, the difference becomes a lot smaller, like even smaller by the sum of that change. Okay. So yeah, okay. So that is actually the difficult part, understanding this one exchange. So if you can understand this, right? Now the thing is, your difference will keep shrinking by 17, by 17, by 17, until it gets to a point that you want. So, let me finish that. So if every exchange, right, group by 17, the difference becomes smaller by 17. Remember earlier on, we want to remove a difference of $170. So how many times must we do it? We do it 10 times. Okay, we do it 10 times. We have to shrink it 10 times to remove $170. This 10 times is the number of exchanges from what to what? From adults to children, right? So you do it 10 times means you're putting in 10 children tickets. So this is the number of children tickets. This is the answer. Okay, Giselle, from which step? The difference or one exchange? One exchange. Okay, let me explain one exchange again. So now, after finding the difference that I need to remove, I know I need to exchange. Okay, because right now the children is zero, zero. But no, not zero. You need to exchange. So when I exchange, right, my one adult is $12. So the adult will go down by 12. Children would increase by one ticket, which is $5. So that's why this one goes up by 5. So when you compare this bar here versus this bar here, okay, when we compare this bar here to this bar here, right, the difference is this, the one in yellow. So if you cannot visualize like this 12 and a 5, right, you just compare the bar in yellow, the difference in yellow versus this yellow. It actually becomes smaller, right? Smaller by 12 and 5. Okay, don't think of it as how much did it go down by, but more of how much did the difference become smaller by. So when one goes down, one comes up, the difference actually shrinks. That's the idea, okay? The difference actually shrinks by how much? Like 12 and 5. Would it help? This diagram is supposed to help you understand. So this one goes down and then this one comes up. So you compare this yellow column, this yellow bracket versus this yellow bracket. The difference is this and this. Okay? We're looking at how the difference change. Yeah, the key thing to take note is how the difference actually changed. Okay, so any other questions? Michelle, would it help? How the difference would change? Is at 12 and 5. Okay, but anyway, for supposition questions, right? Concept 1 and 2 will be the more important ones, okay? Concept 3, likely students would do at least up to maybe the 170 step and then stumble at the one exchange. But if you can get up to the 170, then at least you get some meta marks. One exchange, this is what more than half the students cannot get, okay? So with more practice and understanding, should get better lah. Okay, so this is the last question for the handout.
Teacher,
Yes.
exactly like what like the difference?
真的不用回家了，
difference between
真
the
的不用
other than this kind of like
Wait.
真的不
plus
用
and minus. Is there like any more difference with the supposition with difference and the ones with how to say the one with the one with MMSD.
Hmm?
It's
The
like,
one with
is there any like difference between the supposition with difference and the supposition with how to say
the concept one.
the last question that we did?
Uh-huh.
Is there like
Oh, the penalty.
yeah? Is there
Oh,
any other
types.
difference?
Any other difference other than the steps, is it?
Yeah.
No, actually, right, if you notice, all the steps are kind of similar, just the one exchange part. And usually that is the one that causes students not to get the marks. So if you want to memorize, you can, but then the thing is you may memorize it wrongly and then you apply wrongly, right? So the best case scenario is you memorize it with understanding lah.
Oh. Okay.
So then you need to know, like when you read this question, is this a penalty question or is this a supposition with difference, or is this like a normal supposition question?
Oh.
Okay, yeah. So that's the key thing, to identify what type of supposition is it.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. I think I get it now.
Awesome. Okay, so some of you here are new. You're not our current students, right? In the next part, right, just give me like maybe 5 minutes. I'll just introduce our program a little bit. Okay, so for our Matrix Math program, there are 4 key highlights that 4 unique points that I'm trying to bring up here for our program. Okay, first one, small class size. The classes can go up to like 7, 8 students. So this gives us a very more attention for the students. We're able to guide them more and give them more attention. When one kid is doing, we can afford to brush up the gaps that the other students have. Okay, as compared to a very big class of like 20, 40 students. And the next thing is that our program is in line with the MOE syllabus. So a lot of parents are concerned with, like, is this an enrichment? No, we're not an enrichment. What we do is always in line with the MOE syllabus. It may go more or less, maybe sometimes a little faster than the school syllabus, because we actually start our academic year in November. Okay, but other than that, by year end, everything we covered should be what school cover. And our focus, as you can see, is actually based more on reasoning and problem solving skills. Okay, not so much of like heuristics or like how to times, how to divide, but to understand problems. So this is more of your paper 2 type of questions. And lastly, our program is pretty structured. We have lesson plans, and every class across our center for each week, right, we're doing the same lesson. And because we teach on slides, when you go to one center to another center, from one teacher to another teacher, we're actually teaching the same thing. Okay, so these are our key focus of the programs. So with that is all for today, but I would like to request if you could scan this QR, leave us a feedback, whether whatever feedback you have to make it better, or even if it's like everything very good, also can leave us a feedback. Okay, then if you would like, okay, maybe you just take down this if you need a contact, okay? That's all. Thank you. Bye bye.